Welcome in, everyone. RF Your Refugees podcast. Ted here, Jon here live on another slightly solemner Monday. Less the good vibes of the opening game have left us. Cold, hard reality setting in. But we're here to talk about it because we're your trusted hosts who you guys trust us to talk about DC United.
It could be so much worse. I got to say, if you're looking at those MLS score lines, it could be a lot worse. But it was bad. We are going to talk about how it was bad, but it could be worse. That's my silver lining for you. This already at the beginning of this episode. there are other teams you may not want to be more than us.
Yeah, and we'll get into a little bit of that, some of the stuff around the league. But yeah, Jon, how was your weekend, my friend?
Well, I think I gave myself a concussion, so minus 5 points for that. I took a little HP damage ice skating and fell and bounced my temple off the ice. Pretty sure I gave myself a concussion. Not totally sure. I can still remember drum parts of Hot Rod Circuit songs from 20 years ago. I was just playing that a little bit before. So some of the hard drive is still mostly intact, but we'll see how things go from there. What about you?
I will know it's trouble if I say, hey, what do you think of Jared Jeffrey? And you're like, who? Who's Jared Jeffrey?
Right. I'll be like, he started this weekend, right? Yeah, he looked great. He looked great. Right next to Peltola. He looked fantastic.
My day was good. I was busy. It's the first tournament weekend refereeing youth soccer.
How many red cards did you give this weekend?
No red cards. I called my first penalty kick. I feel very proud about that. It's always good. It was a situation. I'll describe it very briefly and then we'll move on. But it was a situation where the kid literally whiffed on the ball and then came down with his cleat on, kind of made contact with some kid's knee, called a PK. And you got the call right because the coach is not arguing that there wasn't contact and that maybe that's a foul, but arguing simply about the fact that, this is soccer. What are you doing? I'm like, okay, so you agree with me there was contact, and this is your only argument against it.
Do they ever make the VAR gesture at you when you make decisions? I would do that all the time.
And then you get a yellow card.
It'd be worth it. I feel like for the giggles, it'd be good. What would happen if this was like the last? I think this is what you should do when you decide like you've aged out of refereeing and you can't do it anymore. At the beginning of the match, you'd be like, listen, we're going to play things a little bit differently today. At the end of the game, if it's a tie, we're going to go to early MLS style shootouts. We're gonna run from half field and try to score on the goalkeeper. This is what we're going to do. You don't have a choice. That if you don't do this, I'm going to leave and your game is canceled. And then I think that's what you should do.
Okay.
This is like a final peace out. Like we're going to go back to 1997 here and be like, who, what? We're all younger than that. I don't know what that is.
But yeah, it was good. I will agree. You can think that's a good idea.
All you want, Jon. It is an idea.
It is certainly an idea. But let's get into it. Let's talk soccer. People don't want to hear us talk for hours.
I disagree. I think that's exactly what they want.
Let's get to it. Let's talk DC United. DC United. Let's get right into the game. A maybe slightly disappointing 1-0 loss to Austin FC. A game that was certainly not pretty. One of my friends, I think, watched Chelsea versus Arsenal and said, like, yeah, going down and then trying to watch this game is
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a classic rookie mistake, is to spend your morning watching Premier League and then go to MLS. Like, don't do that. Particularly DC United.
Yeah, but particularly DC United right now. 2 changes in the lineup. Let's get into probably
important ones, I think, perhaps.
Very important ones. Jared Stroud coming in and replacing Jackson Hopkins, and then Kijima replacing Peglo's position, with Peglo moving up top and replacing Gabriel Pirani on the bench. Most notably, too, no
Caden Clark on the bench.
No Caden Clark. Thank you. I almost said Cade Cow, and I was like, no, wait, that's not right. It's Caden Clark.
He's in the league. He's back. He's back in the league. He's a Red Bull, I believe.
He is.
Yeah, no Cade Cowell or Caden Clark. And also, once again, the $7 million man starts on the bench, which is something we're going to talk about a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And there are questions to that effect.
Make up a primary part of the story. So, a change in lineup. I would say that definitely this didn't work out. Here are some interesting stats for Hosei Kijima. How many passes would you say Kijima made in this game? And it's first half. We'll say in this first half. Oh my goodness, 10. I lost that. I think I saw it was like 2. It was something like 2 actual passes. He was like, just.
Did he run a lot though? Was his odometer high at least?
Yeah, he was very sorry. Accurate passes 3 of 3. So he had 3 passes, but no chances, no real chances. 1 touch into the opposite box, which was his shot. No successful dribbles, which is funny because I think he had at least 1 there. But yeah.
What about Jared Stroud? How many successful dribbles did he have?
Jared Stroud had 2 passes into the final third at least. So that's something, I suppose. Why is it like I feel like they move stuff around on this?
Just to mess with you?
Just to mess with me, I guess it's true. I do not see 2 passes into the final third for Jared Stroud. Yeah, not a great. I don't think they even have his like actual like dribbles.
Probably none. I bring that up because Jackson Hopkins had 11 in the game against Philly. He led the league on that week on dribbles, and he liked it so much that he shared it on his Instagram story. Kudos to you, Jackson. I don't blame you for doing that. So I will say this. It was obvious from the lineup what was intended to happen. And to be fair to Renée Wilder, it happened for the first half. And that's what he said in the post game. And there's not a lot to talk about in the second half. So I kind of feel like I can give the rationale. So in the post game, Renée Wilder answered, I think 2 questions, maybe. One from Jason Anderson and one from Donald Wine. And they're basically like, did you do this on purpose? Like, was this lineup intentional? Did you know what you would create by doing this? And he was like, yeah, I wanted to get to half at 0-0, and I did. And then I thought that we could maybe sneak a goal in the second half, but they did. And it wasn't an open play. It was on a set piece, which they are dangerous at, which I knew. So sometimes it goes your way. Sometimes it went our way last week. It didn't go our way this last week. I think that is reductive and certainly does not take into account what it felt like for a supporter, but that's not really his business. He's about results. He, I think, has maybe a much more realistic, but also negative perception on this team's attacking ability. So he thinks going into Austin FC, a team that is, I would say, very, very down the middle, very, very, makes the playoffs, but also does not have a roster that wows you. I would say, even I haven't watched that game, I don't feel that way. And, but he thinks going into there, like the best you can do is to, take out all of your creative players, muck up the field, hope that you have a good goalie performance and then maybe steal one on a set piece or counterattack, which does not bode well for the confidence, for the long-term confidence of this team. Yeah. So that I'll just throw that out there.
I did not catch the post-game conference, but that's interesting. I thought this felt like purely like maybe I just need to see what I have in Stroud, or is there a position that they can play? Same with Kijima. They sat very far back in this game, though. You are right. Like, it was pretty much like even Karakawa, who's best kind of being able to fly forward, had very, very few opportunities to kind of fly forward. They put Sean Johnson and the entire defense kind of on a lot of damage control mode. To their credit, Sean Johnson came out and showed that very elite shot stopping ability that has made him one of the top goalkeepers in this league. His crosses, maybe we'll get into a little bit,
right.
But
shot stopping good, commanding your box less good, perhaps.
Yeah, less good. But I mean, just, you're right. A very negative performance. It felt like they really weren't trying to push forward. Very few positive performances. Like, the only really positive call outs I have from this game where Matti Peltola and Hefti, like the only players I thought played genuinely well. And those are 2 very, very defensive minded players.
Yeah. If you're not bleach blonde on this team, you're not doing it, nothing. So maybe everybody needs to go. Maybe they need to do a trip to the salon. Everybody goes platinum.
Yeah. What do we make of Caden Clark not being? Because that I didn't even realize that until now. I was like, wow, Caden Clark not even on the Gavin Turner getting the bench position over Caden Clark. This is a guy that Renée Wilder watched one time and said, "Yep, go spend $700,000 to bring him onto this
and
team.
Extend him too once we've gotten him for this for that." Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I'm wondering if that was an impulse buy and he regretted it, but he was past the return window and now he's stuck with it, or maybe he just doesn't see him as a player that you'd plug in. Maybe Gavin Turner wasn't going to play either. Like they were like the world in which where he's playing. I'm trying, like, we're down 4-0 maybe, and you're like, whatever, throw the kid on. I don't know what you'd imagine he'd play in, and maybe he thought if Jackson Hopkins is not on the field but on the bench, then there's no use of Caden Clark. We're never going to get that far down the side where we need him playing. I don't know. It is weird. It is very strange because we were told, over and over again after he was acquired, like this is a major piece of this team going forward. I believe you even said we're going to build around him at a certain point. I don't know what he practices like. I don't know if he has like a slight injury or something. It's entirely possible. It's way too early to say. I will tell you that the postgame conference was so short as to give no information. The pregame conference was decent and somewhat long. I don't think really sort of illuminating in any kind of way, but I'd be curious this week now going into what will be a circus in Baltimore. I'm curious what the mood is like, and also how they set this team out. Right? Do they repeat what they just did in Austin at home in Baltimore and be more united against a team that has many more attacking weapons than Austin even could dream of? Or do you just say, well, we're gonna go out guns a-blazing here. We're gonna play Louis. We're gonna play all of our attacking weapons, and what happens. We're gonna give them a show. I'd be curious. I would kind of go that way. I would think trying to like 0-0 Inter Miami at this stage after the week they just had, probably not the best strategy. I don't think that's going to work, but what do you think?
Generally, after this game, I really don't know. This was a very, in my mind, kind of bizarre situation just to say we're just going to, because I mean, immediately, and maybe to his credit, first half ends, not a whole lot. Second half wasn't like, I won't say the second half was like a night and day difference, but just having Jackson Hopkins, who's much better on the ball, much better at like literally the press and being able to kind of dispossess the ball. A couple of times he like won the ball. He knew exactly where to go. You did not get any of that from Jared Stroud at all. Pirani, of course, did not have. I thought maybe this was like a signature, like going to be like a signature Pirani game. He's going to step in the second half and like light it up like he does. Did not happen. Peglo looked better out wide, but than he did in as sort of the reserve striker. But sorry, go ahead.
Pirani had one opportunity towards the top of the box where he was like faking a shot and trying to get open for himself. I was like, this is how he scores. He does score outside of the 18 with like very low percentage opportunities in the second half. So if he's going to score, he's going to do it right now. He did not, unfortunately. Yeah. The sub, obviously. Let's talk about. I think we should talk about Louis. Well, we could talk about the goal briefly. Sean Johnson. I would find him somewhat culpable at the front of sort of being lost at sea, not being able to play the ball coming across his box. The defense fails completely to clear the ball with 3 or 4 different opportunities to do so. Just kind of, those are the situations that you can only put yourself in the 100% like effort, grit, like clear out the ball, like, last man standing type of defense thing so many times before you're going to get scored on. Even against a team like Austin, who wasn't really stringing passes together, was not getting high danger opportunities in open play. It was going to come to this, and they just didn't have the wherewithal that one last time to get out of there. I think if they had, it would have been 0-0. I think they would have walked out of here with a point. They'd have had 4 through 2 coming back home to play Miami. It just didn't work out that way. I think there was a gamble probably worth taking. I think he probably has 0 marked in this Miami game, and wanted to maybe just not go 3 points from 3, but it didn't work out. And I think he kind of thought that could happen too. Solely based on vibes. He's not a warm and fuzzy guy. He's not Troy. Even in a loss, Troy was like, hey, the sun will come out tomorrow, guys. It's okay. Like we're building to something. But Renée's just like, yeah, what are you gonna do? I'm Teutonic. I have Swiss vibes.
Yeah, and I guess going back a little bit to the way this game played, I do wonder if the heat, this Austin weather, maybe he's like, they can't play like they played, with sort of the Catonic press and everything like that. So it's like maybe we just sit back, let Austin try to press us, and then maybe try to turn it on the second half. We've got fresher legs. Sort of the game changers that I think can make the difference. Maybe that was a factor sort of playing into this. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Let's talk Luis coming off the bench in the 77th minute.
Is that more or less minutes than he had against Philly?
I think it's less. I think he had at least 20 or so minutes after Philly. But this time he had just 13 minutes. So I find it like everybody is sort of passing. I think the bigger storyline with him is maybe not how he's been playing. because I just don't know. Like, you look at the moments he's been in this game, I don't know if you can like really accurately judge a player when he doesn't get the starting role, unless they come in and make an impact. You can argue, say, well, he didn't make an impact, and I'd say fair. He didn't come in, he didn't change the game, but I feel like I look at him and I'm like, I need to see a full like 60, 70 minutes.
Right.
I need to see him start a game. I need to see him have some more connections. And right now we haven't seen that. I know, like, first press conference, Renée was like trying to quell expectations on this kid, be like trying to tamp things down. That'll work. That may be a smart move to kind of ease him in, not to, put all this pressure on him, because he's already going to have a lot of pressure as the most expensive player, but also not starting him and not giving him real opportunities, and maybe giving him a start is going to start raising questions. You spent all this money for this guy and he's not starting games. There has to be a point when he has to get his first start. And maybe I feel like Renée is just hoping maybe these first couple games, he throws him out there, he gets a goal, he gets an assist, he gets a nice play, and then he's like, okay, now you've earned a start, and now you can kind of ride that wave. But I mean, if it doesn't happen, are you really gonna play him and start him? What do you do here?
That is an open question. I think you sort of have to. I think it probably is too early to say he has to be thrown in from a start here. It's getting. I would say that the water is starting to be like a tremor on the surface. It's not at a boil, but you're at a parboil. You're at the little bubbles popping up. I think other thing to look at too, probably doesn't mean anything, but maybe it does. So Tai Baribo was one to watch. He didn't get a lot of service. He was pretty inactive. He was also really mad about his sort of role and lack of service in that game. I'd be curious. Strikers always get mad when they don't get service. I will be curious to see how happy he is if this is a repeat setup on the road to just sort of pack it in, take all your offensive players off except for Tai, and see what happens. If that's like an environment he wants to play in. Obviously the check's still cash and he's got to be okay with it at the end of the day. He was practicing a bit of the dark arts as he was in week 1. He was rolling around trying to draw fouls from Brendan Hindsight a couple times. But certainly not as effective, but obviously the team wasn't set up to make him as effective. So it's, something to I don't know that that's something necessarily to pay attention to. It's just something that I observed. I don't know that it has any value.
Yeah. And you talking about Tai Baribo, I think he's another player, again, that kind of stood out. I think there was a moment when DC was pressuring the ball. I think it was, I want to say in the first half, I believe it was Stroud and a lot of other players were kind of caught up field, and he sort of rushes back. I believe the commentator on the call called it out and was able to kind of like hold up that type of attack. So that kind of back press and that ability. He didn't have a moment offensively, but just his overall work rate. I'm not really, he's frustrated with losing this game, maybe with the way things went. Overall, I am not.
Me too, Tai.
Yeah. Overall, I think he is not someone who is going to be, this isn't like a warning sign or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yet at least, obviously.
Just something I noticed is all.
Yeah. You have to look at the way the team played last week and say, okay, that is a good way we played. So what do we make? I mean, going back a little bit to kind of like, we talk about, how like we're kind of curious like how Renée Wilder wants to play. Like, he is somebody they've been talking about in the press. Oh, he wants to play exciting pressing soccer. Oh, he wants to be like an exciting coach. And everybody else like who kind of followed and said, well, he's kind of a pragmatist. Mm-hmm. He plays very pragmatic. This felt like a very pragmatist type look at the game.
On the Discord, people were mentioning the specter of Benny Ball sort of in that, and having that kind of philosophical setup. Maybe so. I mean, it's certainly, I think that is, I talked about this on one of the many preview shows about sort of the empty language of tactics and talking about how teams are going to play and how completely meaningless it is and how everyone uses the same set of buzzwords. And when it comes down to it, the game is the game, and the circumstances dictate how the game's going to go. So they can say all they want about, we're going to be hyper pressing and we're going to be exciting and on the front foot. And sometimes they're not, because that's just, you can't play all that way all the time, particularly when you have this roster. Like, you're just you are looking for a wooden spoon if you are trying to drive your Dodge Neon like a Ferrari. You're not going to win any races. You're going to end up in a tree. That's not the way it's going to go. So I just think I think that was spin from the good doctor. about what this was going to be. This was always going to be this way.
Yeah, and I think it very much feels like, so we think back to last year. You know, Troy Lesane went out with this group, but a lot of the same players. Maybe obviously some big changes, but you know, Bartlett's there, Rawls is there, Silvan was there, Peltola was there, Peglo was there, Stroud, Kijima, all those players were there. Like literally the only difference in this lineup is Hefti and Baribo and Johnson. Like literally who's in goal and everything like that. And like he tried to play kind of high aspirational soccer with less talent. And this team got absolutely smoked. Confidence plummeted. And then he tried to correct. He tried to be pragmatist. And by then you're just kind of sinking, and you're taking on water, and you know even then that's not working, and so your team is a little bit broken. It very much feels like to me that this team is not winning. You know, not going to be challenging right now, at least top of the Eastern Conference. They're not going to be. They are settling right in. They're going to have games like this. They're going to have games like conceivably against Philly, and I think he is trying to figure out a way to keep his team afloat. You know, rely on kind of some 50-50 soccer, and, you know, eventually there will be some results that come in. And then, you know, the summer comes in. They still have that DP slot that they can use. By the way, the roster profiles came out again. We could talk a little bit about that. They are sticking. Finally, they have two DPs, and we're going with the 2-4, $2 million in GAM. My full estimation is that will be $1 million in GAM. Also, some other little nuggets we'll get in the show. I think we'll save that for the Patreon. We'll push that on to the Patreon show, kind of going over the roster profiles and give some perspective on that. So if you want to be the Patreon $5 tier, to do that. But kind of being that more pragmatist to start. You know, maybe you lose some close games, maybe you struggle, maybe you pick a win, maybe you steal a couple wins, you do a couple smash and grabs. You know, looking at a lot of the Eastern Conference right now, Montreal looked terrible. They literally were up a man against Chicago, I think it was this week. I believe that's correct. I'll have to go back and look. I know they were up a man, got smoked 3-0. Atlanta, despite all the talent they have on the field, does not look good to start the season. Philly again had a heartbreaker against NYC. Yeah, it was Chicago, 3-0 loss, and they were up a man for a majority of that game. So there are some teams, and also I want to call out Orlando again, not looking very strong either. So you're looking at DC
good for about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
and then they did.
Although you know some people were kind of commenting like, "Hey, Miami's playing well. They just got maybe caught bad on a couple breaks, and then they
were proven correct.
The door cracked, and then the door blew open. So a lot of teams out here in the East not having good starts. Toronto also getting blown out by Vancouver 3-0. So, you know, all of these teams that we've talked about, you know, that are talked about at the beginning of the season, you know, are struggling to start. And DC so far is sitting with a win, sitting in playoff position after 2 games. Would you rather be us right now, or would you rather be New England, Montreal, Toronto, Atlanta United? Some of these teams that are literally sitting kind of at very much haven't scored a goal, haven't looked competitive. Montreal has opened up the season now, but they lost 5-0 to San Diego, now opening with a -8 goal differential to start the year.
Remember, I said it could be worse, guys, and there are some opportunities here. All right, question for you. This is just a question. What do you think happens first? We win by 3 or lose by more than 3?
We'll see. Lose by more than 3.
I think us scoring 3 goals and allowing none may not happen this year. That would be a surprise based on, I mean, maybe we play Montreal and that happens. I don't know. But I think that this team, for the most part, it seems like we're not going to embarrass ourselves, but we're not going to cover ourselves in glory. That's kind of what it feels like. Granted, 2 games in, different sample sizes, but that's sort of that's the takeaway so far.
Yeah. You talk about that. It's like if we had like Montreal thrown in right now, if we had Kansas City, if we got Atlanta on the road, though, I don't know. I'm less. I don't know. I feel like
I don't know if I want them right now. Do you want them right now? I want them once we have that Louis is like a real player. I would like to take them on when we have all of our DPs playing soccer.
We'll see. I mean, this has become the storyline. When do you? Here's a prediction for you. When do you think Louis gets his first start? Because it's got to happen, right? It has to happen.
Well, yeah, for sure. Let's see. Let's look at the matches here real quick. So we got Miami at quote unquote home, Chicago away, Atlanta away. I think he gets his start at Chicago away the week after this one.
I think that's a little tough. I think you give him. I'm going to go on a limb. I could be completely wrong.
They wait until April.
I think he gets his start against Miami.
Okay.
I feel like you cannot let that bubble for that long. I
Just
think
one more week.
Against Miami, I think there's going to be a lot more attention. I think you have to look at the profile of player that you have in here. This is also a game against Inter Miami. I think you kind of
he may want to be seen on the same field with Messi. He may have seen like this is the only glamorous thing about coming to America is playing against Messi. I want that.
He looked at these two games and he's like, we got the first game. I don't think you're ready. I don't want to throw you out in a road game, but I think you're going to be hard pressed. He's a 23-year-old kid who grew up playing with Messi on FIFA, probably. When he was a kid. I think you're going to be hard pressed to keep him out. I think the Wii will make his start against Miami.
Okay, I think that would be very, very possible. I want to get to some questions before we go over to the Patreon show. I wanted to we didn't really watch the game or talk too much about it, but just noting Trinity Rodman gets an appearance against Argentina and gets kneed in the back. Sort of gave people who were watching it PTSD about it. I think there was a concern that this was going to be a repeat. The game ended while she was getting treatment. It seems like she's okay. I don't imagine she'll start the second game. One note of it was that there's someone, I don't know if it was like John Boy lip reading or where people heard it, but there was while she was getting treatment, she's like, they are laughing at me right now and I'm going to beat them up, basically. So Argentina, I don't know. I'm very interested to see like how many countries in international play bring external factors into the games playing against the United States. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm curious. And I'm curious. Well, our players may be the unfortunate receptacles of righteous indignation about other things.
Let's get to a couple of the Patreon questions we have on the show since those were open.
Discord. I got them right now.
Discord, not Patreon. Discord.
Mr. Maglue.
Yes.
Says, I am worried about Sean. I'm seeing sloppiness. Am I justified? I am seeing slowness at coming out for crosses. I'm seeing him not sort of being able to wade through the bodies that sort of the way you'd like to see. We always notice that first, right? I think there's two things you notice with a goalkeeper, three, I guess, but the two things you notice most are not lacking saves that they should be making. So shot stopping, we had a couple goalies last year that had challenges with that. And then not being able to claim the ball in the box and flapping at a ball. And I think he's also had a couple drops that could have been goal. There was two drops, sort of like rebound fumbles against Philly that could have been goals if not for clearance. It's not a huge concern yet. He's also saved a couple goals with some diving saves. So you got to kind of balance those out. But I'd pay attention to that. You get older, you start to move a little slower. That's not entirely uncommon. The shot saving still will be there. He's got some of the reflexes, but I don't know. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting is like, Sean Johnson he's not a small keeper for sure, but he's certainly not the sort of imposing kind of physical presence that you have in a lot of sort of older goalkeepers. This is, I think, why some goalkeepers like their longevity is so good, just because they are such a, massive physical.
Casey Keller.
Yeah, Casey Keller, Brad Friedel. I mean, those guys were just super physical goalkeepers that were just able to really just kind of, use strength and everything like that. It's something to pay attention to. I think it's something, does Cody, the goalkeeper coach, does he say, hey, I think we need to start, like, maybe you need to stay home a little bit more. Maybe you need to not be as you have excellent shot stopping. Yes, we might give up a couple goals, but, maybe we trust, our defenders, both Bartlett and Rolls, I think have shown at least a good presence at sort of being able to sort of clean up the business.
Kai had a big one in this game. He bailed them out big time. So that was good to see.
Yeah. So I mean, again, maybe it's just kind of
Timothy Park giving us the balance here, saying we've only given up 2 goals in 2 games. I bet we gave up more than that last season through 2 games, probably. But I think we're also probably going to give up more than 2 this weekend. So we're going to have there's some balance with this math. It's going to even out in the end.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think you got to take. I think right now, Sean Johnson is who he is. It's definitely I want to say kind of a security boat. Right now, I think I've seen from him maybe a little more than what I've seen from other goalkeepers that have graced this team so far over the past couple of years. They've been trying to shift around. Again, this team faced, I believe it was 2.2, 2.3 XG and walked away only giving up 1. So, sitting in the positive. You saw this team time and time again last year face, 1, 2 XG and give up 3, 4 goals. So it is what it is. Really, I mean, this is the bigger story, I think, coming out of this is Grant Lavelle, the 17-year-old academy goalkeeper, homegrown player, signed through the 28-29 season with options for 29-30 and 20-30-31. So doing some math, he will be, 18, 19, 20 during that time. He's what you hope is kind of your heir apparent, that this is kind of a lifeboat to get you through 27, to get you through the rest of this year, to maybe see you into next year. And then your hope is that, Grant's on the bench and maybe
he's
there's
going to be getting minutes with our MLS Next Pro team every week. He's going to be ready to step right in. What? Sorry, excuse me?
Yes, of course. But, it's you hope that is your player that can come in, that can be kind of a Bill Hamid type player that can just step in 18, 19, 20 and kind of be ready to go. So
it'd be great.
Yeah.
From Cami Grease says, I was hoping for more between Kijima and Kurokawa, but that didn't pan out. I felt Kijima is better in the midfield than as a left winger. Is this an area to build on, or should Weiler move on to something else? I think it depends on what the goal was. If the goal was to generate offense with a setup, I don't think it worked, but I don't think that really necessarily was the intention. I think it got what he wanted, at least according to his own admission in the post-game press conference. Is he rationalizing after the fact? Did he think that maybe they could still generate more than 0 shots as an entity? Maybe, probably, but that didn't happen. I think that you will see that. I think you will see this lineup again. I think you will see this setup because he did not seem terribly upset with how they played.
Yeah, and I think it's more of a recognition again of what his talent is. Do I think Kichima's better in the middle? Maybe. I think he had some good moments sort of playing in the middle. I did see him have one moment of this game where he got space and he was able to sort of successfully kind of be in the right position, dribble through, get to the edge of the box. I think it's pretty clear, like, he's a player that started out very brightly in that 24th season. But he's also a player that I think as this team has kind of shifted formations, maybe he's becoming a little bit sort of obsolete. He did not look good on that wing side. I did not see a lot from him that really indicated that that's a place he wanted to play. And as soon as, other players came in, the game started to shift a little bit. Chances might have been still kind of around the same. I don't think they generated too much more than that. But there was definitely sort of a change in mentality, and this team started to put a little more pressure on Austin.
Yeah. For those of you who are watching on Twitch and YouTube, hello, thank you for doing that. If you're on Twitch and you want to subscribe and give us one of your free monthly Prime sub, do that. We appreciate you stealing money from Jeff Bezos to give directly to us. We think that's great. And then the one other thing I wanted to talk about before we close the free part of the show was this Be More United business is rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. The advertising campaign for this game in Baltimore, they're calling it Be More United. They're using Ravens colors. The thing that most rubbed me the wrong way is that they are deleting comments on their posts about this game that are people that are having negative feelings about it and saying, like, why is we get Sugar Hill Gang and Baltimore gets Wale? So that seems fair. That seems like somehow DC United DC came out shorthanded on this stick. How did that happen? And people are getting their comments deleted all over the place. I understand that they're trying to get people to come to this game. It's very important that people come to this game. It's probably the bottom line saver for this club, this game, compared to the rest of the season. But I think it's really weak and lame if that's what's going on. I don't know. I didn't see it, but people on our Discord were saying that was the story, and they were having comments deleted. So I think that's dumb, and they should stop doing that. It's tough out there on the internet for an admin. I totally get that, but the only way to have that to stop happening is to win games, and then people will stop being as mad at you as they are all the time. And you could actually maybe even see that last week against Philly. The vibes were not immaculate, but very good. All you got to do is win. People want to be happy. I wanted to be happy. I talked about a good vibes train. I still want to be on the good vibes train, but don't delete comments. Don't be whack. That's stupid.
Yeah, and that's nonsense. I think you have to recognize where people are coming from. Yeah, Wale being the halftime show for this boss. What is it? What is with like DC right now and Baltimore and trying to like do like a halftime show?
They want that money, baby. They're trying to make a show. They want that stadium money. They're trying to make this a big production. They're like, hey, if you come to this game against Inter Miami, you're going to see Wale at halftime. He just put out a new record. It's very big. Also, it'll be like this every week at MLS Next Pro. Exactly as many people come to this game will come to MLS Next Pro. So, give us the money. It's going to be just like this every week.
Yeah, everybody's going to come. Everybody's going to come see Messi's son when he plays for the
absolutely
MLS Next Pro team. Just like everybody. Do you remember when Beckham?
I do.
Beckham's son was
now that's right. Much happier times in the Beckham family, I think, between the kids and him. But things have changed.
Yes, I agree with you. It's we hate the kind of notion of censorship, of trying to make this different, or to quell fan disappointment. I think you have to kind of recognize
just win, baby.
Yeah, and win soccer games, and things will be better. I don't know if winning fixes everything with this team right now. I think there's a lot kind of underneath that winning would have fixed this, 2018, 2019. Now I think there needs to be a lot more that needs to happen
for sure,
other than just winning.
I just mean for the admin not wanting to throw his phone into the wood chipper. Just win some games.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do.
Exactly.
That's all right.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for the free edition of the show. We're going to switch over to Patreon. We got a lot more questions, maybe a little deeper dive, and we'll talk maybe a little bit about the next game against Inter Miami. Maybe give some expectations and some predictions. So if you're at the $5 tier, stick around and listen. If you are on the free tier, you can join $5, patreon.com/RQRefugees if you want to listen to the full unreleased show.
If not, you'll see us next Monday as we talk about the 5-0 DC United victory in a full M&T Bank Stadium.
And the amount of Messi jerseys that switch over to DC kits and they sell out.
That's right.
Luis becomes the Luis jerseys sell out instantly and he becomes the $7 million man that we all know he could be.
Someone take a picture of the trash cans out the stadium filled with pink jerseys, and that's what's going to happen. So we'll talk about that on Monday at 8:30. We'll see you there.
See you there. Vamos.
Vamos.